right, you've got the FBI investigating mortgage lenders and banks, writing down billions, but occasionally buried by the headlines are the folks most affected by the subprime crisis. One activist says today the subprime market is poised to bring about the greatest drain of wealth the African-American community has ever experienced. It is a financial apartheid, no doubt about it. Joining us now, NFL great Willie Alexander and author of Entering the Promised Land. Willie, welcome to Happy Hour.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, thanks for coming today, Willie.
So tell us, what have you found?
Well, in writing Entering the Promised Land, I've probably uncovered one of the tragedies that's probably ever been exposed in America. In the African-American community in Houston, Texas, probably as well as across the rest of the country, we have a business community that back in 2002 had annual revenues of $84,000 a year, whereas the minority community overall had business revenues of $333,000 a year, and the white business community had revenues of over $800,000 a year. Now, fast forward 5 years later, the most recent report says that that $84,000 annual revenues has now gone down to $74,000 a year. The black community is disintegrating, and no one is talking about it.
And what's the root cause in your mind that's causing the disintegration?
Well, the root cause is several things. Number one, it goes back to the days of Dr. Martin Luther King. The civil rights movement, the issue that he was tackling at the end was an economic empowerment issue. You know, the first leg of the stool was the Civil Rights Act, which gave African Americans the opportunity to come in places like this, to go anywhere you want to go. And then the Housing Act in '65 allowed them to live where you want to live. But the third thing that was missing was the equality piece, and that was the money. In other words, what good does it do you to come in a place like this, and after you've had your drink, you can't pay for it? What good does it do you to go to a restaurant or live in a hotel? When you walk out, they're taking your deal because you can't afford it. In other words, so in his last speech in 1968, I see the promised land. It was a message to black people, and the message was, this is what you need to do in order to getting to the promised land. That is America, what America has to offer.
And you don't think they did it?
Oh, no. The economic empowerment move, when Dr. King was assassinated, the movement died. And what you had was, it seemed to have gone into different directions. You've got a community that is led by ministers wanting to take the community in one direction. You've got the community that is led by politicians wanting to take the community in another direction. And then you got the African-American businessman who's sitting there in the middle and don't know what the heck to do.
But you got the Willies of the world, you got the Magic Johnsons of the world, you got a lot of people out there that are out there becoming entrepreneurs using the incredible amount of capital that you guys get through sports, and actually now you got real businesses. I mean, you're an accomplished businessman over the last 20 years outside of sport, and this is the economic empowerment in real time, is it not?
Yes, it is. But the African-American business community, when you take the Oprah Winfrey's of the world, the Bill Cosby's of the world, the Magic Johnsons of the world, it's like a spit in the ocean. In other words, the numbers say that in the African-American community, you are talking about a community that has at least 38% of the people near poverty and another 33% in poverty.
And now you're saying the subprime crisis, fiasco, call it what you will, has made things that much worse.
In other words, you just poured water on a drowning man. You got a community that was in poverty that's going to become more impoverished. Let me give you one more statistic. In Houston, Texas, back in 2002, the poverty rate was 25%. 5 years later, the poverty rate in the African-American community was 29%. Now, what I say to you, Houston mirrors the rest of the country. Now, if as a businessman, when there's an economic indicator that is trending downward, the CEO who just sitting here, if there was an economic indicator that was trending downward, you stop the presses, you stop everything, and we got to deal with it.
So how do you fix it?
I just want to interject. The reason why that poverty, the percentage of people under the poverty level increases over time is partly because the Fed continues to trash the dollar, so the poverty line rises because of inflation, then becomes, you have to make more and more money to stay above the poverty line because the Fed keeps cutting rates and the collusion between the investment banks of trashing this dollar.
I agree with you, but it's disproportionately affecting African Americans.
Agreed, 100% with you on that.
It's going to affect you more. Now, The answer.
So how do you fix
The
it?
solution. Dr. King left a cryptic message from the grave. This is what he told black people that they had to do in order to get into the promised land. That's America, the land that we all live in today. Number one, maintain unity. And he told the people that night at the church in Memphis that whenever the Pharaoh wanted to prolong the period of slavery, kept the slaves fighting among themselves. So black people need to come together. Number two, the ministers, they have to be like the prophet Amos. In other words, they have to preach and talk about social justice. Number three, the people yourself, African-American people, it's like my mother. My mother and old folks back during her day, it's like they couldn't wait to get to heaven. But what the Dr. King is saying, that is fine. But you know, God's children needs food, shelter, and clothing while you're on earth today.
So the people need, you're saying the community needs to come together more to support each other.
The community, here's from a business standpoint, what Dr. King was trying to put together was a strategic plan. What he was telling, we need a strategic plan in order to deal with, and we're talking about a 2-generational plan, probably 40-year plan in order to...
Do you outline this in your book, sir?
It's all in my book.
Willie, unfortunately, it's
The
TV
Promised
time,
Land,
real
the
time over here.
The most
Thank
inspirational and thought-provoking book that you've ever...
Keep fighting the good fight, and we will do, man. Absolutely. Thank you
Entering
so
the
much for
Promised
being
Land.
We
here
should have
today.
Springsteen as our music for today and could have done...
Then why not? I'm with you. Promised Land. We've got plenty more on tap, including some answers to your investment questions next.